Have you ever noticed how some men seem to effortlessly command respect in their relationships, while others, no matter how kind, how wealthy, or how loving they are, always end up being treated like an afterthought? You watch a man pour his heart, his time, and his hard-earned money into a woman, only to be met with coldness, constant criticism, and eventually, the devastating phrase, "I just think we need space." It is one of the most painful, confusing experiences a man can go through, yet it happens every single day to millions of well-meaning men around the world. The brutal truth that nobody wants to admit is that women do not leave men because they are too nice. They leave them because they lack the invisible armor that keeps a relationship alive. Female psychology is wired to constantly test the strength of that armor, not out of malice, but out of a deep-rooted biological need to feel safe and guided. When those tests find nothing but weakness, the attraction dies, the respect vanishes, and she begins to unconsciously take control, leading to a toxic dynamic where you are walking on eggshells in your own life. This is not about being a tyrant or playing manipulative mind games. It is about understanding the fundamental laws of human nature that govern how people treat you. If you do not define where you end and where she begins, she will fill that void, and the results will be catastrophic for your masculine identity. Most men realize this far too late, only after the damage is permanently done, and they are left staring at the wreckage of what they thought was a happy relationship. But what if the single biggest mistake you are making right now is the very thing you think is keeping her happy? There is one specific, subtle trap that 90% of men fall into during the first few months of dating. A psychological trap that instantly signals to her subconscious that you can be manipulated. And if you have already crossed this line, she is already planning her exit strategy. To understand why your boundaries are the lifeblood of your relationship, you must first understand a core principle of female psychology. Women test the men they desire. It is an instinctual mechanism designed to measure your emotional resilience, your stability, and your self-worth. When a woman pushes against your boundaries, she is not trying to break you. She is hoping you stand firm. She wants to see if your word means something, or if you will compromise your values just to keep her from getting upset. The moment you bend your rules, change your schedule, or tolerate disrespect just to avoid a temporary argument, you think you are being a supportive, loving partner. In reality, you are failing the test. To her subconscious mind, a man who cannot stand up to his woman is a man who cannot protect his woman from the harsh realities of the world. Respect is the absolute foundation of female attraction, and a woman can never truly love a man she does not respect. If she can control you, if she can dictate your emotions with her moods, or if she can make you apologize for things you didn't even do, she will lose all attraction for you. It happens gradually, almost imperceptibly at first, until one day you wake up and realize you are a passenger in your own relationship, desperately trying to please someone who has completely lost interest in you. The first crucial boundary you must establish immediately revolves around your time, your mission, and your purpose in life. A man without a clear vision, a man who makes a woman the absolute center of his universe the moment he meets her, is a man who is actively negotiating his own demise. When you cancel your gym sessions, neglect your close friends, or push aside your career goals just to hang out with her every single night, you think you are showing devotion. What you are actually showing her is that your life was empty and meaningless before she arrived. Female psychology is naturally drawn to a man who is on a mission, a man whose time is valuable because he is building something substantial. The moment you demonstrate that you are willing to drop everything at her beck and call, your value in her eyes drops dramatically. She wants to be a beautiful addition to your empire, not the empire itself. You must establish early on that while you deeply value her presence and love spending time with her, your purpose, your work, and your personal growth are non-negotiable. If you have scheduled time to work on your business, to exercise, or to connect with your brothers, that time must remain sacred. When she asks you to cancel your plans for something non-essential and you calmly, politely decline because you have prior commitments to yourself, a fascinating shift occurs in her mind. She realizes that your time is a limited, high-value asset that must be earned, not a free commodity that can be demanded at any moment. This boundaries creates a healthy psychological tension, a space where she can miss you, respect your drive, and appreciate the moments you do choose to give her. The second boundary is your absolute intolerance for emotional volatility and disrespectful communication. In the modern dating landscape, men are often told to accept whatever emotional outbursts come their way under the guise of validation and understanding. While it is vital to be an empathetic listener and a safe harbor for her emotions, there is a distinct, unyielding line between emotional expression and blatant disrespect. The moment a woman uses sarcasm, insults, name-calling, or the silent treatment to punish you or manipulate a situation, you are at a critical crossroads. If you absorb the abuse, yell back in a reactive rage, or worse, apologize just to restore peace, you have handed over the keys to your emotional sovereignty. A powerful man regulates his own nervous system and refuses to participate in a circus. When disrespect occurs, the correct response is not anger, it is calm, absolute disengagement. You must look her in the eyes and firmly state that you love her and want to resolve the issue, but you will not be spoken to in that manner. And then you must physically remove yourself from the interaction until she can communicate with respect. This boundary is incredibly powerful because it leverages the psychological law of consequences. If she learns that disrespect results in your immediate withdrawal and a cold, calm distance, her subconscious will quickly self-correct. She will realize that her access to your warmth and presence is contingent upon her ability to treat you with dignity. If you lack the courage to walk away from a toxic conversation, she will continue to push the envelope, testing how much emotional damage you are willing to tolerate until she completely drains you of your self-esteem. This brings us to the third essential boundary, which is the preservation of your financial clarity and your role as a leader, not a blank check. Money is one of the primary battlegrounds in relationships, and how you handle it early on sets the tone for the entire future. Many men try to buy a woman's affection by overextending themselves financially, taking her to lavish dinners they cannot afford, or constantly paying for every single whim from day one. This behavior stems from a deep-rooted scarcity mindset, an underlying belief that who you are as a man is not enough, so you must supplement your value with material things. Female psychology is highly intuitive. She can immediately sense when a man is trying to impress her with money to cover up his insecurities. When you allow a woman to demand expensive gifts, dictate where you spend your money, or throw tantrums when you choose a budget-friendly option, you are establishing a transactional dynamic. You are teaching her that your wealth is her property and that your financial boundaries are flexible, based on her approval. You must establish early on that you are the steward of your finances, that you have long-term wealth goals, and that you will not compromise your financial stability for short-term vanity. A high-value woman will respect a man who budgets wisely, invests intelligently, and refuses to be manipulated by materialistic demands. Leadership is not about blindly funding someone else's lifestyle. It is about making intelligent, calculated decisions for the future of the team. And if she cannot align with your financial vision and respect your fiscal boundaries early on, she will ruin you financially and emotionally in the long run. The fourth boundary involves your social circle, your privacy, and the preservation of your masculine spaces. In many relationships, there is a slow, creeping invasion where a woman attempts to slowly isolate a man from his support systems. She might criticize your lifelong friends, express discomfort when you want to spend time with your family, or demand to know every single detail of your private thoughts, past, and digital life. This is often driven by her own unresolved insecurities and a subconscious desire to completely control your environment so you have nowhere else to turn. If you comply with this by cutting off your friends, sharing passwords under pressure, or allowing her to monitor your every move, you are effectively castrating yourself. A man needs his tribe. He needs the counsel of other strong men, the grounding presence of his family, and a degree of internal privacy to process his thoughts and maintain his individuality. You must draw a hard line early on regarding your relationships with your friends and family. Let her know that the people who stood by you before she arrived are a permanent fixture in your life, and while you expect mutual respect, you will not tolerate unwarranted jealousy or attempts to dictate who you can associate with. Furthermore, maintaining a healthy boundaries around your privacy creates an aura of mystery and independence that is highly attractive. When you are a completely open book with no internal sanctuary, you become entirely predictable, and predictability is the ultimate killer of romantic tension and desire. The fifth and final boundary, which is perhaps the most difficult yet the most critical for your survival as a high-value man, is your absolute willingness to walk away from the relationship if your core values and boundaries are repeatedly violated. This is the ultimate leverage, the foundation upon which all other boundaries stand. If a woman knows, deep down in her soul, that no matter how poorly she treats you, no matter how many times she breaks your trust, or no matter how much she disrespects your boundaries, you will never leave, because you are too afraid of being alone, then your boundaries mean absolutely nothing. They are just empty words, noise that she will comfortably ignore. Female psychology respects strength and fears the loss of a truly high-value man. When you possess the self-respect, the abundance mindset, and the internal fortitude to say, "I love you, but I love myself more," and I will not tolerate this behavior, you become entirely unshakable. You must be prepared to walk away from anyone who threatens your peace of mind, your self-respect, or your life's mission. This is not a threat you throw around during an argument to manipulate her. It is a quiet, settled conviction inside your heart that manifests in your actions. When she sees that you are a man of high standards who can survive and thrive completely on his own, she will cherish her position in your life and work tirelessly to ensure she never does anything to lose you. The tragedy of modern dating is that so many men have been conditioned to believe that keeping a woman at all costs is the ultimate victory, when in reality, losing your self-respect to keep a woman is the ultimate defeat. Look closely at your current relationship or the way you interact with women in your life right now. Are you truly standing strong in your masculine power, leading with clarity and earning the deep respect you deserve? Or have you already begun to compromise your boundaries bit by bit just to keep the peace? Have you ever had to walk away from someone you truly loved just to save your own self-respect? And if so, what was the exact moment you realized a boundary had been crossed that you could never look back from?